Welcome to Write with Love. I'm your host, Sarah Williams, best-selling author, speaker, and creative entrepreneur. Each week, I chat to passionate and inspiring authors about their journey in creative writing. Some are traditionally published, some do it themselves. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone has something interesting to say. We all love love and love what we do. Today's show is brought to you by our amazing fans and supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the show and get some awesome bonus episodes, go to patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author to learn more. Now here's today's show. G'day and welcome to Write with Love. Today on the show, I'm chatting to Jennifer Ryder. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, thanks very much for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. So we'll get this going. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your journey to publication?
Okay, I'm a Canberra girl, born and bred. Live on the outskirts of Canberra now. I've always been a really big reader. When I had my kids 10 to 13 years ago, I of course, reading went to the wayside, but when my son turned 2 or 3, I decided it was time to get back into reading. So I rediscovered my love of reading, and one day I had the urge to start writing a book. So my first book, Spark, very much based on my life in my late teens, and so I kind of started writing this book in secret. I didn't even tell my husband for a period of time. Felt like I was cheating on him. So after about 6 weeks, I said, "Darling, I need to tell you something." And he was like bracing himself, like, "What is it?" And I just said, "I'm writing a book." And he was like, "Oh, is that all?" So I started writing my first book, Spark. So I've got the cover here.
Oh, lovely. Gorgeous.
So I started writing, So I started writing Spark in, when was it? September 2012. It was a really big learning curve to start off with, just learning the craft about writing and the whole show don't tell, how to plot a story. I was very much a pantster to begin with my writing journey. Basically, I'd get scenes in my head and I'd kind of put them together later on and then try and come up with some kind of flow. I'm a lot more regimented these days. It's a lot more to do with plotting, but I'll take basic parts of my story and then work it together. But with the Spark series, I almost had too many ideas for one book. So once I started writing, it was a matter of, okay, I think I've got too much for this book, so I'm going to write another one. And then I had an idea for another one. At the time I was reading 50 Shades, and I was like, okay, I'm going to write about a dominatrix. So I kind of had 3 books on the go in the beginning, and I had to really talk myself down and say, no, you have to finish writing one book. And I think the first book was by far the hardest to write because, I had to have, I had to tone it back. I had to make sure there wasn't too much drama in the story. But Spark is a book where it does have a happy for now ending. And the sequel, the second book in the series, which is Spike, we've got the same cover there.
Yeah.
Same couple on the cover. So Spike is the second book in the Spark series, and that gives you the happy ever after that we all want out of a romance novel. So when I was publishing Spark, I did have a lot of self-doubt as a first as a writer, finishing my first book. Probably one of the best thing I did was at the time was attend professional development courses. I went to my first Romance Writers Australia conference in Fremantle in 2013, and that was such an eye-opener. It was great for networking. There's still people that I catch up with or see at events So everyone's kind of in the same boat. You know, they're all trying to progress their writing career and learn more about the craft. I pitched Spark during that conference, and that was an incredible experience, very daunting. But I think it was the process that I had to go through in order to get my book where it needed to be. So I kind of took that feedback on board. I reached out to a group of people which I've taken on as beta readers, and I've been able to keep most of those for most of my series. But yeah, I think getting those critiques about your first book when it's so personal, like especially when it is personal to me because it's based on my life in my late teens. It was very hard to say, okay, this critique is not personal. It's going to make my story better. And that's when I met Lauren McKellar. So I got rejected from my first couple of pitches, took that on board, and I met her at an author meet and greet in Sydney, and she was working for a publishing house at the time, and I was telling her about the premise of my book, and it didn't quite fit in with what the publishing house was after at that time, because there was potentially a couple of different suitors in the romance. So there could have been, the main character could have ended up with one of a couple of guys, and Lauren really liked the premise of the book, and she's been my editor ever since. So 9 books on.
And of course Lauren is Lauren Clark, who does the editing, and she's my editor as well. Love it to pieces. And she writes also under Lauren K. McKellar. So a little shout out. She's been on the podcast. Go and listen to it. She's amazing. Love it to pieces.
Sorry, you just cut out there.
Oh, no worries. No, I was just singing her praises. Lauren's amazing. Love it to pieces. So
and I think that's part of my writing journey has been, I can attribute so much to Lauren, because she really has helped shape me as an author, helping me find my voice, but also it's made me a better writer, because, you know, as I'm writing or getting a book ready to go into edits, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, what would Lauren say? You know, Lauren would tell me, no, I need a bit more here, or a little bit less here. So I think, you know, you kind of do that self-editing, and you know what you need to do with each book. It doesn't get any easier, I find, with each book, because I feel like you're starting all over again. But I do tend to publish a lot further apart these days, due to life and work and all of that. But also some stories just need to marinate for a period of time, so that they're ready to be released. You know, they're at their best, you know, when they're ready to be released.
And it is so important for authors to have mentors. I definitely had one, and I have many. And I think that is very important. We need to talk to other writers and those sorts of things. No one understands what we go through except other writers.
No, that's right. It is, you know, you are quite secluded at times. And I think, you do need to know that you're not the only crazy one. You know, you're not, thinking about stories and characters at, 4 a.m. and scrambling notes down, or, your characters are, telling the story. You're not telling the story anymore. So it's definitely, and look, that's what I love about going to author signings. Out in Canberra, I have a book group. There's about 6 or 7 of us that meet, once a month. And we talk about books. Generally, there's wine involved, but that's like book people. They're my people. So we all love our books and the book signings and discovering new authors, and finding that book where you're just like, oh my God, have you read this book? I've got a lot of great friendships, based on, the love of books.
That's it. Now, I love that you were doing this in 2012. That was the big year with the Kindle, 50 Shades and all those sorts of things. Hats off to you to go and pitch and get rejected, because I remember even in 2017 trying to be an indie. It was one of those you do if you can't get traditionally published. So did you kind of make that decision consciously, or did you make it more as a business point of view to go independent, or was it really, did you
Well,
keep trying?
I think, look, there was a lot of people around me at the time. A shout out to other Aussie authors, Carmen Jenner, Bella Aurora, Lauren McKellar, and those authors had released recently. Before I had indie. I thought it was a big step. How am I going to do this by myself? Like, how is that possible? Now I kind of can't imagine doing it any other way. But it was a matter of, I had that effort moment where it was just like, I just have to try. I just have to see what happens. When with the Spark series, because I'm a big reader and I'm impatient when it comes to waiting for books in a series, I purposely waited until I'd written a couple of books in the series before I released the first one. So the Spark series wasn't originally going to be a 5-part series. I thought 2, maybe 3. So I'd planned it so that I'd finished writing Spark and Spike, the second book in the series, before I published the first one. And then before I published the second one, I'd written half of Strike, which is a third book in the series. This is the cover of Strike.
Fantastic.
So this one's very, very motocross. So there is motocross themes throughout the Spark series. But yeah, in terms of, making the decision whether to be indie or go self-publish, I think once I started that series, I was always going to continue doing it indie. I have reached out to publishers on a couple of other books. I did reach out with Sing Sam, which is my most recent release, which is a small town romance. All my books are based in Australia because I love Australia, and I can't imagine. I think it would be very technically difficult to write, on characters based on other parts of the world. Like, I think the Aussie lingo is very unique. And I think a lot of readers, I've got a lot of readers in the US, and I think they love that about my stories, is that, and sometimes they'll get caught up on, Aussie slang, but I think they like that it is so Aussie.
Yeah, well, these days all they have to do is Google it. Like, it's not even click on it on the Kindle, it tells you. No, that's fantastic. Let's talk a little bit more about Sing It Sam. So this is your most recent release, Small Town.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the storyline.
Okay, all right. I'll quickly show you the cover, which it's one of my most favourite covers.
Yeah, anything with a guitar at the moment.
Anything with a guitar. So it's based in a fictional small town. There is actually a town not far from Canberra called Collector, and they do an annual pumpkin festival. So it was a big inspiration for me in writing this book. I just love, the feel of a small town. So in Sing It Sam, we've got Sam Marshall, who is a singer-songwriter who's left the city and he's moved into a small town. And I won't go into too much detail, but he ends up actually living in the local nursing home. So we've got, there are a lot of topical issues in the book, in the sense that, there are young people all over Australia who are living in nursing homes that really shouldn't be there. So Sam Marshall, singer-songwriter, is he's recovering from a debilitating incident, and Jane Reinhardt has just taken up a new position as the admin and events coordinator at the nursing home. So her job is to interact with the residents, run activities, and make sure everything's running smoothly. Jane's grandmother is known as the queen of historical Australian romance, so she's got romance writing in her blood, and she is determined to write a romance novel. So she promised her grandmother that one day I will write a book. The problem is she hasn't really experienced love. And Sam, whilst living in the nursing home, it keeps very much to himself. very secluded. So Jane kind of takes it on as bringing him out of her shell. So slowly but surely their relationship blossoms within the walls of a nursing home. There are a lot of very interesting characters within the nursing home that a lot of readers have said, oh, that's just like my nan, or that's just like my pop. So, you know, it is a bit of a homage to, you know, my grandparents that have all now passed. So yeah, it's kind of been personal in a way. But yeah, I won't give too much more about the story, but you definitely need, from what I've told, chocolate, vodka, and lots of tissues. It's a lot of readers have compared it to 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. So it is definitely probably my most emotional read, I would say. And I think for me, when I published this book, I mean, I still have a lot of doubt with every book that I publish. I mean, all I can do is get it to be the best that it can be, and then it's up to the individual readers whether they fall in love with it or they think, oh yeah, that was nice. But for me, Sing It Sam, it's such a special book for me. And it was all based on a dream. Like, I had a dream, you know, I'd started a new job. Well, not in the dream, but I just started a new job, and I'm like, okay, January, I'm gonna, you know, really hook in with this new job. It's a great opportunity. I'm really gonna have my head in the game. And then I had a dream about a young man in a wheelchair in a nursing home, knocking me over and kissing me on the lips. And I was like, okay, this is really bizarre, but this story would not leave me alone. I kind of found that I was daydreaming about it on my way to work, and it just wouldn't leave me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to write the book. And it was the easiest book for me to write. Still, the edits process took a long time, but I'm just so proud of this book. And I think if I was going to recommend any of my books, whilst I love the Spark series, you know, they're connected with, you know, you've got undercover detectives, you've got foul mouth mechanics that have got lots of issues, and motocross riders with, you know, egos the size of Australia. I think, you know, if you're looking for an emotional type read, I would recommend Sing It Sam.
Oh, fantastic. Is there going to be any more in the series for Sing It Sam, or is it just going to be a standalone?
I think it's going to stay a standalone. I had mentioned to some readers, a lot of readers were like, I need to hear more about Sam's brother, Ben Marshall. And I think I could write a beautiful story with him. I've already plotted half of it out in my head. But I think there's some books that you just have to leave it to the imagination of the readers. I think just some books are very, you know, I'd hate to disappoint anybody with a sequel, and I just think, you know, I think it's best left as a standalone.
Yeah, fantastic. So what are you working on now? Do we have anything else coming out soon?
Yes, so just this week I released the cover of I've got a rom-com novella coming out in January, and it's called 9 First Dates, and it's based on Abby, who is a local Canberra girl, so of course very close to my heart. And it's basically, she goes on 9 first dates, and I'm sure that a lot of people can identify with her dates. Just things that happen, the types of people that you run into, whether it's through matchmaking or whether it's through Tinder, or crashing your car in the car park. You know, I think there's something in there for everybody, and it's the shortest book I've written. I haven't written a novella before, but I think we're all so busy these days, and I think also after Sing It Sam, I needed to write something a little bit light to kind of get me back into writing. But I think it'll be the perfect little beach read this summer for us Aussies in January. But yeah, 9 First Dates, it's currently with my editor Lauren Clark, and so hopefully I'll get some advanced reader copies out by Christmas. What else was I going to say about 9 first dates? I think that was about it. But I do have actually I think I'm going to be with you at I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm going to be signing at books. Sorry, I was thinking of somebody else. But yeah, I'm going to be at Books by the Bridge, Yarra Valley.
Nice.
In March. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that signing. I think I signed with Books by the Bridge in February 2 years ago, and I really love that signing at Luna Park. But I'm really looking forward to like the intimate type signing, and and who doesn't love books and wine and good company. So
that's it.
So yes,
and I've got Kat T. Mason on the podcast. I think she's probably already aired by the time you air. I think I scheduled it for you. So Kat's going to be on. She's the organizer of Books by the Bridge. Fantastic. And an awesome writer as well. And I know lots of people going to the Yarra. That's awesome. I did SeaWorld, Books by the Bridge SeaWorld in September.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so that was good fun. And I've put my name down to do like anything she ever does again because it was so good.
Very well organised, and I just love book signings, and it's a lot of it's centered around the social side of things, because I always try and organise like a brunch or a lunch or drinks or something, and there are a lot of readers that attend these types of events that have never been to one before, and they think, oh God, I don't know anybody, but you invite them out for a cup of coffee before a signing, and it's not so daunting anymore, and at the end of the day we're all there because we love books.
That's awesome. Brilliant. So where can we find you online and keep up with all of your new releases?
Okay, so my website, you might be able to see it behind me, is jenniferryder.com. And you'll find all my links for Instagram, Facebook. I've got boards on Pinterest, which I love to keep for all of my books. But I'm quite active on Instagram. I also have a Facebook group called Writers Spark Support Crew. And I always make sure I share things in there first. So teasers for my next book. So I've got lots of teasers that are coming up for 9 First Dates. And also I have a sign up for my newsletter. I'll be releasing a couple of exclusive chapters of 9 First Dates to newsletter subscribers.
Ooh, excellent. So we're going to go and jump on that. I'm really curious.
Yes, please.
Sounds awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Jennifer. That was great.
No, thanks, Sarah. It's been really great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Jump onto my website, sarahwilliamsauthor.com, and join my mailing list to receive a free preview of my books and lots of other inspiration. If you like the show and want it to continue, you can become a sponsor for just a couple of dollars a month. Go to patreon.com/sarahwilliamsauthor. And remember to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a review of the podcast. I'll be back next week with another loved up episode. Bye!